Good evening, everyone. We are going to call the City of Deltona's regular City Commission meeting for Monday, August 2nd, 2021 to order. May we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Villa Vasquez.
Present.
Commissioner King. Here. Commissioner McCool.
Here.
Commissioner Ramos.
Present.
Commissioner Sosa.
Here.
Vice Mayor Bradford. Here. Mayor Hertzberg.
Here. And we are going to go ahead and turn the meeting over to Commissioner Ramos for the invocation, pledge, and national anthem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tonight we're going to have Pastor William Garay from Iglesia Cristiana Nueva Creación, who's going to lead us in prayer. And then we're going to have our superstar, David Castro from Trinity, 6th grader, who will be doing the national anthem. And I will say, while the pastor is getting up here, he's also one of our MVPs of the West Volusia softball players here. So if we could all rise, please.
All our heads to the God of heaven, to our Creator, we come before this in this hour to give you honor and glory. We are gathering here in the City Hall in your city of Deltona, along with our mayor that you elected, and the great council and part of the citizens of this great city, to discuss issues for the progress of this city. We pray that you will guide us and give us wisdom to the council to make the right decisions, and we will all live in harmony. All of this we praise in the sweet name of your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets cracked, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
That was amazing. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move to the beginning of our business meeting. Item 4A is approval of minutes of the regular commission meeting of February 15th, 2021 and March 1st, 2021. We need a motion, please.
So move.
Properly moved by Commissioner Ramos, seconded by Vice Mayor Bradford. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Now we go to the fun part of our meeting, presentations, awards, and reports. And this evening, we have the Honorable Senator Wright is here this evening to present the City of Deltona a check for the expansion of the Eastern Wastewater Treatment Plant. I'm going to go on down if anyone would like to join me. Thank you, Senator.
It's not going to buy shoes for the mayor. This is going to help with the wastewater treatment plant. Yep. $300,000. The city of
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Won't be long, we'll be putting in budgets for next year.
It's coming soon, isn't it? Quickly.
All right.
Did Diane get one? Got it? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Senator. We appreciate you always thinking and working for Deltona, and we always really appreciate what you do. Senator Wright has, every year, has done for us, and we really, really appreciate that. Thank you for coming out.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's why we're not heels. Okay, we'll go on and move to item 6, ordinances and public hearings. Item 6A is a public hearing, Resolution 2021-44, establishing the annual rate resolution for the street lighting services for fiscal year 2021-2022. Mr. Peters, this is, or Mari, is this same? No changes? Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
This is one of several items we have for you for the annual charges that and this for the street lighting. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Ramos?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There's no comments or questions. I move to adopt resolution number 2021-44. The acting city manager has the authority to correct scrutiny errors and the like.
Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved by Commissioner Ramos, seconded by Commissioner Avila Vasquez. Are there any members of the public that signed up to speak on this item? Okay. Seeing none, we will go ahead and close the public hearing portion of this, and we have a motion and a second for the resolution. May we vote, please? And the motion passes 7-0. Item B is also a public hearing, resolution number 2021-43, establishing the annual rate of assessment for solid waste services for fiscal year 2021-2022. And commissioners, this is again the $202.80 per ERU, and it is unchanged. And we go ahead and need if you have no questions, we'll need a motion and a second. Commissioner Avila Vasquez.
If there are no comments, I'd like to move to adopt resolution number 2021-43. The acting city manager has the authority to correct Scrivener's errors and the like.
We need a second. Second. Properly moved by Commissioner Avila Vasquez, seconded by Commissioner Ramos. Is there any member of the public that wanted to speak on this? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment portion of the hearing. May we vote, please? Motion passes 7-0. Item C is also a public hearing, resolution number 2021-45, establishing the annual rate resolution for the Lake McGarity Aquatic Weed Control Services for fiscal year 2021-2022. Commissioners, as you know, this is a resolution and rates that have been programmed, and this is for Lake McGarity, and the residents around Lake McGarity have approved this, so there's no change. So we need a motion and a second. Go ahead.
I move to adopt resolution number 2021-45. The acting city manager has the authority to correct Scrivener errors and the like.
Second.
Okay, properly moved by Vice Mayor Bradford, seconded, was it Commissioner McCool? Any members of the public signed up to speak for this? Then we close the public comment portion of the hearing. May we vote, please? And the motion passes 7-0. We'll move on to item D. It's also a public hearing, resolution number 2021-42, establishing the preliminary annual rate resolution for stormwater services. This is $128 per residential unit and unchanged from last year. And we need a motion and a second. And Commissioner Avila Vasquez.
I move to adopt resolution number 2021-45. The acting city manager has the authority to correct Scrivener's errors and the like.
Is there a second? Okay. Properly moved by Commissioner Avila Vasquez, seconded by Vice Mayor Bradford. Any members of the public signed up to speak for this item? Yes, okay. You're right, it is 42. Did you say 42? 42. Could you just go ahead, Commissioner, just go ahead and reread your motion, and we'll have it reseconded just for the record? It's going to be item 6D.
I move to adopt resolution number 2021-42. The acting city manager has the authority to correct scrivener's errors and the like.
Okay, properly moved by Commissioner Avila Vasquez, seconded by Vice Mayor Bradford. Any public comments? And we'll close the public comment portion of this item. May we vote, please? Motion passes 7-0. Item 7 is old business, of which we have none. We'll move to item 8, new business. 8A, request of approval to piggyback on Clay County Agreement Contract Number 2018/2019-113 RNI for the contract with Property Registration Champions LLC, DBA Pro Champs. Mr. Paradise? This is regarding the anti-blight.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ron Paradise, Planning Development Services. For the record, this is a request to renew contract with Property Registration Champions, LLC, otherwise known as Pro Champs. The city has been working with Pro Champs since August of 2014, and this is in result to help implement the city's 2014 anti-blight ordinance. This renewal is accomplished through a piggyback arrangement with regard to a Clay County contract. Interestingly enough, the original contract that we had with Pro Champs in 2014 was also a piggyback arrangement through a Clay County contract. The service Pro Champs provides the city consists of registering mortgage companies and mortgage holders and monitoring foreclosure activity. Part of the benefits of the Pro Champs work is this information has been helpful for code compliance to interface with mortgage holders when dealing with code matters. It's not so much an issue, well, it is an issue now, but it was more of an issue during the Great Recession when we had a high foreclosure rate. In addition, since 2014, Pro Champs fee collection activities generated approximately $1.7 million for the city general fund. Therefore, city staff is recommending that the piggyback arrangement with Clay County contract 2018-2019-113 be approved, and the city commission direct this acting city manager to execute all applicable forms required to continue the relationship with Pro Champs regarding the implementation of the city's anti-blight ordinance.
Thank you, sir. Any commissioners, do you have any comments?
Yes, Mayor.
Are you like,
I'm trying to get there.
go ahead. I just want to make sure you're, let's see.
Did it come up?
Yes, now it did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Some of these items are under code enforcement, correct? Mm-hmm. So it was kind of enlightening because there's a few things on here that I've seen quite a bit. Like I'm still seeing tarps up from decades ago, and there's other items on here. So I'm all for this, just so you know, but what I'd like to see is a little bit more beefing up of them being enforced, because I agree, you know, I wouldn't want to be that neighbor that's next to that home that has that busted fence and these busted tarps, and, you know, I want to make sure that our current code department, Mr. O'Grady, has everything he needs to enforce all of this so that we do continue to clean it up, because it seems like a lot of these items, it's not being enforced.
Duly noted, and, you know, just to foreshadow future events, there's going to be a request to fund some abatement activities being advanced to the city commission here. I don't mean to steal anybody's thunder, but like I said, just to kind of foreshadow some future events.
So coming near to the city of Deltona.
Yes.
Great.
Stay tuned.
Same channel.
Yes.
Okay, commissioners, any other questions for Mr. Paradise? Seeing none, are there any members of the public that wanted to speak on this? And we'll close the public comment portion of this item. We need a motion and a second. And Vice Mayor.
I move to approve the Clay County piggyback agreement with Property Registration Champions, LLC, DBA Pro Champs, for the registration services required on the Deltona anti-blight ordinance. The acting city manager has the authority to make corrections of Scrivener errors and the like.
Properly moved by Vice Mayor Bradford, seconded by Commissioner Ramos. May we vote, please? And the motion passes 7-0. We'll move on to item B, which is a request approval to purchase a transport vehicle this year due to upcoming price increases. To also request the approval of a budget resolution 2021-41 to amend the budget and provide the funding to purchase the transport vehicle. Chief Snyder, welcome. Great job yesterday, by the way.
Oh, thank you. It was a really good event. So, Bill Snyder, Fire Chief with the City of Deltona here. Yeah, what we're looking to do here is if in fact the consensus of the commission is to purchase this vehicle in next year's budget, we're recommending that you go ahead and move it up and purchase it this year. They're looking at about a 6% increase here. We have to have a purchase order together before August 21st. If we're going to avoid that price increase of what would be about $20,000. So if, the consensus is that we're going to go ahead and buy it anyway next year. If we move it up and buy it this year, we're going to save about $20,000. We're going to take that money out of impact fees because we're increasing the fleet, and the remainder will come out of transport funds.
Okay, thank you, sir. Vice Mayor?
Simple question. You mentioned that we had a 6% increase. Do you know what those numbers are actually for maybe this last quarter?
As far as, what do you mean?
Or transport, what we've done on the transport?
Well, I can give you the number from October on, so fiscal year to date.
Okay, that's fine.
From October on, and keeping in mind this number is 9 months because we're about a month behind. So we got a check today for transport, but that check is for June. So we still got 3 months left, and to this point right now, we're at about $667,000.
How much was June's check?
June's check was actually the biggest check we've received so far. It was $103,000. $103,000.
Great job. Great job. And that's just with doing transport. Okay.
Yeah, now that may be a little of an anomaly. The check before that was $73,000. We had one a couple months ago that was $91,000, so it varies.
So you guys are extremely busy. That brings me to another question real quick. Aside from that other transport unit, I mean, obviously we can see a major increase in transports. Increasing that transport unit, getting the other transport unit on, have we looked at, do we have the need for an additional station? And where are we at with residents compared to the number of stations that we have? And if you don't have that, I wouldn't mind having that information for future.
So I can give you my opinion, basically. And right now, a lot of what fire departments base their needs on is response times. The quicker we can get there, the better things work. Currently, our travel time, the amount of time it takes us to get from the station to the call, is a little over 6 minutes, about 6:03. The national average is 4 minutes. So we're a little bit over that. And then when you add in your turnout time, the amount of time it takes from the bell going off at the station until we get out the door, and the amount of time it takes to do call processing, in other words, the time that the dispatcher picks up the phone till the time they actually dispatch the unit, is also added into that. So with that, I would like to see that lower. And travel time is travel time. You can't go any faster, safely, So the only way around that is to add stations. But what I would say to that is we are going through the accreditation process right now. The accreditation process, that's Bill Snyder's opinion, okay? Mm-hmm. So the accreditation process uses data to say, okay, this is where we're at. and this is what the national average is, and then we can make a decision on where we want to be. Do we want to be a 4-minute travel time or not? You know, and if we do, then this is what we're going to have to do. And if we don't, then we're good where we're at. And what that accreditation process does is it really evaluates the entire fire department to say, one, are we doing what we say we're doing? Two, where are we at, you know, where are we at measured to national averages with either ISO or the National Fire Protection Agency or the Insurance Service Organizations, ISO and NFPA. And then once we get that accreditation process done, then we can really evaluate where this fire department is, and then we can say, okay, this is where we are, this is what the average is, where do we want to go, and then we can make those decisions as to whether or not that means, you know, more stations or more units. Maybe the stations are fine and we just need to add a unit to a station that's currently there. So, and that's what this accreditation process will do.
Okay. And I'm sure when our ACM gets that, he'll be able to determine whether or not we need to start looking forward to planning if we need to have that other station, and well, we'll just leave it at that. Obviously, that, you know, the other unit's greatly needed, so thank you.
Commissioner Avila Vasquez.
Thank you, Mayor. So I don't know if congratulations are in order that am I correct saying that we have been approved for 24-hour transport?
For our second unit, yes. Our first unit was already transporting 24 hours a day. Our second unit was only transporting, well, second half, or 13 hours a day, 13 and a half. So now that second unit is actually transporting full-time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So that's a good thing for the city of Deltona.
It is, it
being
is.
that we probably went over 100,000 in our residents once we get the final total from the census. So this is for this year, this unit. Do you think, going forward, being that both units are now going for 24-hour transport, do you think that there might be a need for additional staffing and an additional transport vehicle?
Yeah, I mean, right now, 2 units doesn't cover the entire city of Deltona. So it would be my goal that at some point we get to a point where we are taking care of our citizens. And, you know, we are transporting here in Deltona. I believe that the continuity of care that you have when one agency is transferring their patient to their own agency, or not even having to transfer at all, is much better than the continuity of care that you get when you transfer from one agency to another. Not only that, our people know our area. The county EMS, you could be getting units from the other side of the county. You could get people that work on the other side of the county that are coming in for overtime that don't know our city as well. And quite honestly, maybe bragging a little bit, but I think our department provides a much higher level of customer service than, you know, others around us. You know, we have a real commitment to customer services.
Well, I want to thank you guys for, you know, your responses to the city of Deltona. And even though it's more hours added to the city, to the staff, we're happy to hear that the residents of Deltona are now safe to be transported when needed.
And that unit was already up 24 hours a day. It's just that, you know, they were only allowed to transport at night. So there was really no additional staff or anything like that. They just went from not being able to transport during the day to being able to. So, and, you know, obviously the third or the fourth reason that I think would be a great idea for us to transport is the revenue, you know, that we would get from it.
Thank you. This is good news to us here in the city of Deltona. Are there any other, can I make a motion?
Yep, sure can.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the purchase, I move to approve the purchase, the transport this budget year to save on future costs, and approve the resolution number 2021-41 to amend the budget and provide the funding for the purchase. The acting city manager has the authority to make corrections of scrivener's errors and the like.
Properly moved by Commissioner Avila Vasquez, seconded by Commissioner Ramos. In the motion, it says I move to approve the purchase, the transport. Can we add transport vehicle in there? Transport vehicle, it's not in the motion, just to clarify that. You okay with that? Add vehicle in there? Because I know you hesitated when it.
Yeah, I know, I sort
yeah.
of had to go back and look at it again, but yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, and are there any members of the public that want to speak on this item?
Yes, Mayor. Albert Bryan, please.
Thank you.
Albert Brown, Deltona. You know, it's not very often I get to walk up here and actually say something good. It's amazing to me that this has actually even come up, but I'm glad it has, because to save $22,000 anytime is a good thing to me. Anytime you can actually take and say that the staff has taken time to realize that they can save money in this fashion before the budget's approved and or otherwise is a good thing for the city and good thing for all the citizens. That being said, I would like everybody to understand that, one, this is being purchased by two things. The okay of the fire department union and the use of impact fees. I don't ever remember reading that in the budget for next year, that it was actually being purchased by impact fees and the okay of the union. I'm assuming that the okay of the union is a good thing. Wonder how often that actually happens. Now, I've talked to the fire chief about this tonight, and I'd be real honest with you that anytime you can purchase a new vehicle that has, how do you put it, not necessarily upgraded technology, but maybe reset technology to their preference, the way they like it, to where it makes it more efficient for them to use, I think that's proper use of our staff. And how often has anybody actually heard me say that up here? I think a good vote for this would be yes.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
if I can provide some clarity on something he said.
Yes.
It's through the leadership of Chief Snyder that we were able to get the modification with the county on transport. The fire impact fee is for things related to growth. And because we have the additional transport that we have now, that's why we were able to use the fire impact fee for this purchase. So I appreciate Mr. Bryan's comment, and I hope my answer gives some clarity. It's because of Chief Snyder's leadership in getting the additional transport time that we're out there is part of the reason we're able to use the impact fee for this purchase.
Okay, thank you, sir. And Vice Mayor?
Can you also, Mr. Peters, clarify his comment about the approval of the fire union and what their involvement would have been in this?
You want me to take that?
Sure.
So originally, this was going to come out of general fund money. We've had $250,000 in impact fees that we're planning to use and hoping to use, and then we're definitely able to use because of the increase, like the city, acting city manager said. And then we were planning to use regular general fund money. But at the recommendation of the acting city manager, he asked me to get with the union to see if we could come to an agreement on using transport funds, since this is a transport vehicle, to make up that difference. And that would allow us to do it much easier this year. So at his recommendation, I got with President Vaccaro, and we worked it out to be able to do that. So that's how that happened.
And I just want to say that is absolutely phenomenal to hear that what we're looking at possibly approving tonight is what is helping you pay for this additional vehicle. I give you all kudos. I know it's added a lot of work, but I want to tell you all thank you for all your hard work and dedication and self-sustaining a little bit more on that fire department. Thank you.
Hey, Commissioner Sosa?
Hey, just one quick question. How much money is in the fire department impact fee fund?
Right now is about $250,000.
That's all we have in there right now?
Yes, that's approximate. I don't know the exact number, but that's pretty close.
So that balance will be zeroed out after we pay
Yes.
for this vehicle?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, and Chief Snyder, and for Mr. Peters and everyone else that was involved. This is a win-win across the board, and I'm glad to see impact fees being brought forth and how they're being spent so that the public understands what those impact fees are being used for. I think there's a lot of times people have a fantasy that impact fees, build roads and do all that kind of stuff, and truly, they don't bring in that much money. But this is a case in point where the impact fee has a direct effect on our future growth and helps our residents tremendously. So thank you, sir. And we have a motion, a second. Public comment is done. May we vote, please? And the motion passes 7-0. Now we'll move on
Thank
to
you.
item C. Thank you, sir. Request approval for the sole source purchase of a process blower and associated equipment from Airzon USA Corporation at a total cost of $30,590.04. Mr. Peters.
Yes, ma'am. I get the pleasure of talking about wastewater plants after following the truck. If we got the $300,000 check tonight, last year we got $150,000 toward the expansion of the Eastern wastewater plant. And as part of that expansion, the process at the plant requires air to be brought into the stream, and we do that with blowers. And one of the problems we're having is that when we need to change out the blowers, we need to have a spare blower on the side. With the expansion occurring, this issue is even more prevalent. So what we're bringing forward to you is a sole source contract, because there's only one manufacturer for the blowers that we're currently using, and for $30,000 so that we can have an extra blower as we're doing maintenance work and all that. We have a spare blower while we're doing the work.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Mr. Peters regarding this? Seeing none, do we have any members of the public that signed up to speak for this? Then we'll close the public comment portion of this, and we need a motion and a second, commissioners. Let's see, Commissioner Sosa.
I move to approve the sole source purchase with Airzon USA Corporation of a backup spare process blower and associated equipment at a total cost of $30,590.04. The acting city manager has the authority to make corrections of scrivener's errors and the like.
Properly moved by Commissioner Sosa, seconded by, is that Commissioner King? Okay, may we vote, please? And the motion passes 7-0. So next item is item D, request of approval to award ITB number PW 2021-01 to Prime Construction Group in the amount of $8,674,740 for the construction of the Phase 4B Lake Monroe Intake Pump Station and Raw Water Transmission Main Project. Are you up again, Mr. Peters? This is the Lake Monroe project, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
The straw, or whatever they used to
This
call
is the
it.
project that we affectionately refer to as the soda straw project. As part of our consumptive use permit, to reduce the amount of high-quality groundwater in the Blue Springs Basin, we have put this project together to take water out of the St. Johns River. We treat it at the Alexander Rib site, put it either into the RIP site or put it into our reclaim system for distribution to the public. As I said before, this reduces our need for groundwater. This project has been going on for some time, and it seems like it's been going on forever, ever since I've been here. The good news is we got a very favorable bid, as you can see from the bid tabs. And so we're recommending that we approve this contract and move forward with construction. Just a key element here that I don't think is in the report, but I think it's important to the public, is once this project gets started, we will be closing down the boat ramp at the Lakeshore Community site, building site, to allow for the construction and all that. During the 18 months of this project, we will be trying to revamp the boat ramp to be a safer facility. So that will be part of this process also.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioner McCool?
I just want clarification on one thing. The total budgeted amount for the project, it was $13,473,598. I mean, I saw that right. And then the winning bid came in at $8,600,000. Do we have leftover money? Do we have that $5 million? I mean, I see the award letter, right? And then I see the, in the bid tab, I guess, the $8 million. But then we also have I'm sorry, I'm trying to get back on it, where we had the project was $13 million.
Commissioner McCool said the initial budgeted amount was $13 million, but the bid came in at $8.6. What's the difference in the difference of the money? Is that an overage, or is that part of the rest of the project?
That is, the original budget amount was a project that envisioned different types of piping and different types of intake structures. If we did an internal peer review, we went through the whole process, went through and looked at everything closer. We went with a different type of intake structure. We went with directional bore piping instead of open cut piping along Providence. A number of things that we looked at internally, and because of that internal review, we were able to get that price down. I think we were estimating somewhere about $9.5 to $10 million was what we thought it would be. So a lot of that is to the hard work of your staff, questioning the design of the consultant and asking the hard questions and making some decisions that save some money. For instance, the original plan called for a restroom at the intake structure, and that restroom was going to cost an astounding amount of money when we have a restroom right up the hill at Fisher Plant and at Alexander. So taking that out was almost $250,000. So yes, Mr. Sosa, $250,000 for a restroom. But no, in all seriousness, we did a lot of peer review work on this to get that price down.
Okay, so I understand from the budgeted amount to the actual bid amount, that was $5 million and something dollars. I'm just trying to understand process, forgive me, okay? That $13 million, I know that we're saving that money, but that $5 million is not floating around somewhere that we could use on something else, right? It's not existent. It's not a part of a budget item that's already there, right?
Well, let's remember, most of the funding from this is coming from a state revolving loan. So it's just less money that we're going to borrow. The second thing is that $13 million also included construction, engineering, and inspection services, which we will be bringing back to you for approval. That will be a fairly significant amount of money. It will be roughly 5% of this project. So we still have some additional costs that will be coming to you later. But the real saving to us is just the amount of state revolving loan that we will take out as opposed to what we would have taken out at a larger amount.
That's where I was trying to get to. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We need a motion and a second.
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the award of ITB number PW 2021-01 to Prime Construction Group in the amount of $8,674,740,000 for the construction of the Phase 4B Lake Monroe Intake Pump Station and Raw Water Transmission Main Project. The acting city manager has the authority to make corrections to Scrivener's errors and the like.
Second.
Okay, properly moved by Commissioner McCool, seconded by, is that Commissioner Ramos? May we vote, please? And the motion passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is our public forum. Has anyone signed up to speak for our public forum?
No, Mayor.
Okay, very good. We will have no public forum this evening then. And we will move on to the next item, which is comments on consent agenda. Has anyone filled out to speak on consent agenda?
No, Mayor.
Okay, then we'll move to item 11, the consent agenda. So on consent this evening, we have item A, request approval of resolution number 2021-46 and budget amendments to transfer funds from law enforcement impact fees fund to municipal complex fund to facilitate the purchase of office furniture and improvements. Item B is a request for approval to enter into a piggyback agreement on an existing Volusia County contract, ITB number 19-B-156IF, with White House Contracting for the purpose of constructing a 5-foot wide sidewalk along Feather Drive in the amount of $117,800. Item C, request approval of the task authorization with Kimley Horn for the design, permitting, and pre-construction bidding services for the Fisher Wastewater Treatment Facility improvements in accordance with the agreement with the City of Deltona and RFQ number PW 2020-10 for continuing on-call engineering, water and wastewater utility plant engineering services. Item D, request for approval to enter into a contract with Mead & Hunt Incorporated for engineer of record, EOR, services for the construction of the Group 1 water main replacement project in accordance with their agreement with the City of Deltona and RFQ number PW 2020-009 for continuing on-call water and wastewater utility line services at a not-to-exceed cost of $44,220. Commissioner Ramos.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If there's no question, I move to approve consent item agenda A, B, C, and D.
Do we have, okay, was that Commissioner King? Okay, properly moved by Commissioner Ramos, seconded by Commissioner King for consent agenda. May we vote, please? And the motion passes 7-0. And next up, we have City Commission special reports and requests. Commissioners, do you have any special reports and requests this evening? I will have some next time. I do not this evening. So we'll move on to the next item, City Attorney comments. Mr. Fowler.
Nothing tonight, ma'am.
City Manager, any comments? Okay, City Commission. Vice Mayor, did you want to go first? You just said you popped in on something.
Yeah,
Should we start with you?
I was going to bring something up, but then I thought, no, I'll do it at the end. I just want to give kudos. Pine Ridge had a ribbon cutting the other day, and when we go to one of our local high schools, and these kids are looking at their future, and Pine Ridge now has their HVAC program, and just to see the excitement at the school, the excitement at the local schools, the excitement at the teachers and the students, and what they're bringing to Deltona. And from what I'm understanding is we're hopefully also looking at an electrical and plumbing and other items that are going to start getting these kids on the right path in high school. You know, I just want to say kudos to, it's not just the schools, it's everybody. You know, parents do a lot of sacrificing because they're involved in this as well. And this is what makes Deltona community. But, you know, I know, Commissioner Ramos and Commissioner Sosa was there as well. And to me, it was just one of those things where you sit up there and you're like, wow, this is why we do what we do, And I just want to throw out kudos to Pine Ridge administrators, school board, our senators, and everybody, and parents, and everybody that was involved in that, because that's what makes Deltona special. So I just kind of had to throw that out there because it was real exciting and enlightening to see that out there for our students.
Do you want to do the rest of your comments? Or is that it?
That's it. I'm easy tonight.
Okay, girl. We will, thank you, Vice Mayor. We'll move on to Commissioner Avila Vasquez. Do you want to go next?
Sure.
We're just kind of changing this up
So I have a
tonight.
question. I have a question for Mr. Peters. Just curiosity. I read an email that you sent out yesterday, and no sooner than I read the email, I lost my power. So, were you notified by Duke that this was going to happen to our pumps, that we were going to lose electricity, which would affect our water pumps?
You talking about the power outage?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, I was notified. I received text messages from the fire department. I received text messages from Deltona Water and Public Works whenever we have an event. And I got a very scary email yesterday, a text message regarding the Duke power system pretty much being down. We had, I think, 3 water plants that were out of power. Fortunately, they all on generators. And we had multiple lift stations that were down that were also on generators. So it was a very scary text message to get. About 2 hours later, I received an updated text message that Duke Power had responded and that everything was back up and running.
Oh, okay, because when I called them, they had no idea what was going on, but, it, thank God it came back up quickly. I also wanted to know the status, and I know Parks is not here, but do you know the status of finishing the Fireman's Parks basketball court?
I don't think I understood the question, ma'am.
The Fireman's basketball court.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know when that's going to be completed?
No, ma'am, but I'll be happy to send out a email to all of you all with an updated schedule.
Thank you. And the last thing I want to say is piggybacking on the Vice Mayor's comment, Deltona is really proud of the students that have graduated from the city of Deltona, because we currently have an Olympic baseball player, Lopez, who is from Deltona, graduated from the Deltona High School. So Deltona is very proud of our students and our athletes out there. And I just want to tell everybody, please stay safe. If you have not received your vaccine, I know some people are not agreeing to take it. That's your choice, but things are not getting any better out there. Be careful. Hopefully you'll decide to get your vaccine so that you can protect the rest of the people around you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Sosa?
Yes, just, with Vice Mayor Bradford, I was at the HVAC opening at Pine Ridge High School. Awesome facility. I really look forward. It's going to be a 4-year process for kids coming in as, freshmen. They can do the process for 4 years, hopefully leave with the certificate, get picked up, or pursue their dreams somewhere else. Definitely something that is a positive thing for Deltona. Another thing, I will be doing a town hall on August 12th at 2820 Doyle Road, Suite 8. It's open to everybody, anybody who'd like to come. Once again, that's going to be August 12th. It's a Thursday night at 6 p.m., and it's at 2820 Doyle Road, Suite 8. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner King? You're good? Vice Mayor, or Commissioner Ramos?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to add to the HVAC. Believe it or not, it's only the second here in the state of Florida, what we have in Pine Ridge. So it's something to be proud about. One of the other things is, just give a big shout out to our fire department. Deltona Fire's back to school. It was a great event that was dealt on Sunday. We were a little bit questionable first just because the hour was, it was moved from 9 to 8, but I have to tell you, I think we easily did over 1,000 backpacks. As a matter of fact, many of the vendors that were there had finished their supplies, so they were breaking down a little bit earlier, but it was a great success to be out there. One of the other things in talking to our acting city manager today is SBA had reached out to me trying to see if they can have some type of an office space here so they can offer some free mentoring to our businesses and our nonprofit. And any questions that they might have about their licenses and things like that. So working with our city manager so we can have a space here so our businesses and our nonprofits can come in and receive some of that free mentoring. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner McCool?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What I'm about to say has very graphic content, and if this makes you uncomfortable, well, it should. And I need to share this with you. So if you have small children, if you're listening at home, please take your children out of the room. If you have sensitive ears, I would ask that you excuse yourself right now, because what I'm about to say is not easy to say, but it needs to be said because it has gone on very long. This evening, I hate to, but I need to talk with you about a serious matter. As public servants, we have been and will continue to be subject to some very terse emails, and that's part of our job. To hear our residents, to let them express themselves according to our First Amendment, and defend that right for all. For the last 7 months, I received emails from anonymous parties who really aren't so anonymous to us that received these emails. I was copied on an email this week to our city manager, to the commissioners, and to another anonymous party. I should add that this email was regarding issues that this party was having as part of an ongoing situation with the city. I commented that I would forward the email to our most excellent staff to be recorded, as the appropriate staff had already been tasked with taking care of this matter. I told him thank you and have a most excellent day. And I want to share with you the email that I received in response from this person. Again, this contains graphic content, but you need to understand what it is that we're subjected to. As I said forwarded to our most excellent staff, and then I received this back, and I'm reading some annotated parts of this. These emails are public record. I'm sure that you can get them. You are commanded not to contact me via email anymore. I already sent you notice today and several other times to only communicate with me, and anyone at the city can only communicate with me with first-class mail. This person always sends emails from different anonymous emails. This is not a real person sending these emails. They hide behind the cloak of anonymity, which you should do. I understand that, but then directing me to do something else is impossible to do. They also told me to immediately start rounding up the records, little miss useless, slimy, detestable bitch, and asked that there be discrimination papers filed against me. They said that their problem had not been resolved and that we were fucking disgusting pieces of worthless shits. To which I replied, I hope this email finds you well, and I will pass along your concerns. The email that I received back said, your words are meaningless and empty, that of a true politician. You put on a good show for the masses, and actions speak louder than words. I despise you. You will answer to the people, you will do your job, or get the fuck out of public service. Eat a bag of dicks with your loathed, pathetic attempt to look good with your pretentious, ostentatious email. I will expose you. And then they began to tell me what public servants should be doing, that those duties included protecting them and not the fucking city, you treasonous serpent. They began to tell me then what a servant was and should be, but that I was wicked and slothful, and that described me and a vast majority of the city employees that this person had dealt with, that we were supposed to be obedient. They also told me when I replied back that I would forward their concerns, that I just committed another unlawful act, and that it was going to cost the taxpayers because I was an ignorant, stupid bitch. And then it said again, do not email me, communicate via first-class mail, you worthless public servant. And then I was also said that maybe some sense could be talked into me before I bankrupted the city. I was also told after that if I emailed them again, that they would be filing criminal charges against me for electronic stalking and harassment, that I was causing them severe emotional distress. This coming from a person who had previously emailed that I needed to be taken out to the woodshed, that I had fucked with the wrong person and that I would pay dearly, that he would be organizing protests at my house along with other city commissioners, and that if the city doesn't comply, that it's gonna get ugly. Over 200 emails in the last 6 to 7 months. I am pretty sure that this is the same person that sent threatening emails to me a few months back, even though he uses several different email addresses and a few different Facebook monikers. This is the very same man that has been arrested 3 times for domestic violence against 3 different women, one of them being a 19-year-old woman that was 22 years his junior. According to the arrest report in that case, the young woman stated that he had become controlling and she wanted to break up with him. He became angry, grabbed her cell phone, grabbed her by the back of the head, and then tried to force the cell phone into her mouth. She then proceeded to tell him she wanted to shower for work. He said that he wanted to shower with her, but she said, "No, I no longer want to be with you." He grabbed her, drug her through the living room naked, pushed her into the shower, and turned the cold water on. He entered the shower with her and told her everything would be okay, and she said, "No, it won't be because I am leaving you today." He replied that the day was the day that she was going to die. He then grabbed her around the throat and choked her until she said, "I'm sorry, I won't leave you." He was subsequently arrested for felony battery and a few months later arrested again for violation of the protective injunction order issued to him relating to that crime. This was the second injunction that he had violated with 2 different women. This is the person telling me that I need to eat a bag of dicks. And 3 things I'm going to tell you that are telling about this person. 1, he doesn't like it when he doesn't get his way, and he's dangerous when he doesn't get what he wants. 2, he will not stop no matter what to get his way, even if it means breaking the law. 3, he doesn't respect women and likes shoving things down their throats or suggesting that they do it for him. Please be clear in knowing that I will do everything in my power the law affords me to defend myself against this person, and that it is my hope that so will all the other women at City Hall that he has frightened. He exhibits unpredictable and escalating behavior when he is angered. Our deputies protect us in here, but are we safe out there? Our first job as public officials is to defend our Constitution. Furthermore, our jobs as public officials is to provide quality of living and nurture positive mindsets for our residents. Reading vile and graphic emails shouldn't be expected to be a part of that job, any job. Angry emails? Yes. Disgruntled emails? Yes. Emails that point out my inefficiencies or question my qualifications for office? Yes. Emails that tell me I'm on the wrong side of a public policy? Absolutely. But I am personally sick of those that would cloak these words and themselves in the First Amendment and use it as an excuse to debase, destroy, and defile a woman. Everyone that holds public office and whose job it is to read and respond to these difficult emails. The thing that I bring before you in talking about these radical, sick individuals that cloak themselves in the First Amendment rights is that as a free society, we don't get to silence this behavior. But as a part of that free society, we get to use those same protected First Amendment rights and use counter speech to uncover and report this harassing hate speech, because that is what this is. It moves beyond the boundaries of what is civilized and into the gutter of what should be socially unaccepted behavior. People that use and cloak themselves in First Amendment in this abhorrent way are hoping that I, as an elected official, will silence my speech in opposition to this. I'm going to say to you that you will no longer be able to freely speak to me this way without consequence. I'm telling you today that your hate speech, your misogynist speech, your guttural Neanderthal speech to me will no longer go unanswered. Every single one of your disgusting and bullying words will be put out for your neighbors to hear and see what it is you're using to terrorize, threaten, and stalk public servants with. I will no longer sit silent while women that I work with at City Hall and serve in the public with are exposed to this type of language and behavior. You will no longer get to parade around with your warped First Amendment cloak, hiding your immaturity, your ego, and your impotence behind it. I will no longer let it be okay for the people that work hard for you to suffer at the hands of your abuse because they are trying to take the high road. The high road has run out for me today. Each time that you utter this nastiness, I will counter speech with you. Hate speech left unchecked is how bullies get to perpetuate behavior in today's society. They use it across all platforms. This is especially true on Facebook. It is the weak and impotent person's choice platform for bullying. They get to yell behind the fence of social media, oftentimes as a completely anonymous and cowardly moniker, instead of facing the people or subject that they seem to be an expert on. They go mostly unchecked, especially by elected people, because they're either afraid that they won't get reelected or that they'll be vilified further in the press or in general public for daring to talk back to someone that speaks to them this way. I will not walk in fear of losing my office by allowing this type of behavior. I'm a human being first, a woman second, and lastly, a politician/public servant. Our society has become so consumed with political correctness that we have completely bypassed just being simply public correct. Society dictates today that we should just simply take this and be quiet, that we should take the high road, and that we should let others talk to us like this. This is indicative of an abusing and callous society when you are asked to do this. Our country was founded on the principles of absolute and individual freedom, and I am fiercely protective of that. I'm like every other person that I know and fiercely defend our First Amendment rights, but with those rights come social responsibilities as well. We live in a society where when we are supposed to act and treat our people with kindness and respect, but we also must remember that this is a country where it is still acceptable in 2021 for a woman to be genitally mutilated. There are 11 of our United States where it's still not criminalized for a woman to be genitally mutilated. My point in telling you that is to tell you this. Although many things are law, that doesn't make them right. And we must consciously choose to be more civilized than law allows. I will no longer allow these criminals to intimidate or talk to me like this without going unanswered. I've made a solemn oath to all of my constituents, and that constituency includes young women who watch as these nasty insults and vile language go unanswered by most females in office, as we have been told, don't stir the pot. That ends today. Pot, meet your spoon. I would like to lastly add that if you are not stopping or speaking out about this unacceptable behavior across all platforms, you are complicit in allowing it to spread and infect our community as a whole. Shame on you, and God save your daughters, your mothers, your sisters, your grandmothers, your aunts, your wives, and any other female that you say that you respect. We are better than this. I am sorry to my constituency that you have to hear that in graphic detail, but left unsaid like that will lessen the impact that it has in all of our lives today. This is rampant on social media, and we face this every day as public servants, things that our constituency will never know about. They know that we get a bad email, but they don't understand. They don't understand how our staff has been harassed and stalked, and our system has been shut down by these bullies. And I, for one, will no longer participate in that. And tomorrow, I will continue to make sure that this does not happen to me and that our staff does not have to listen to this any longer. I do not know what the shape of that is, but I will promise you that I will not drop this. We do not deserve this, and we should not stand for this because you wouldn't allow it in your family. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. We are adjourned.